amount of information about COVID that's available can leave you dizzy, especially when you're reading articles and studies with phrases like early data, skeptical scientist, studies experts wish came with the label "don't try this at home," or numbers that conflict with information from other countries. So how do you make sense of all of that?
Really, it's murky, it's hard.
It's a lot even for a professor from MSU Denver.
I have training in immunology and microbiology.
If there are multiple studies all pointing to the same conclusions, those are typically more reliable. For studies that haven't been peer-reviewed yet, keep an eye on the data and whether the results change.
The fact that a study has not been peer-reviewed doesn't mean it's wrong. It needs additional oversight.
And there's also a need to strike the right balance of when to share information with the public.
There's some news outlets and scientific communities that are pushing results out too fast. And there are others that are maybe hitting the right balance better than others.
Part of the responsibility sits with us here in the news.
Can be accepted, they can be rejected, but they are often asked to repeat an experiment or do a different experiment, and conclusions are softened or changed. And by the time that is complete, the news cycle has often moved on, right? And then it's left, to the reader to try to sort this out.
Dr. Dawn Fry with Swedish, whose practice is involved in at least a dozen clinical trials a year, pushing out information and learning how medical studies work has its benefits as long as people are smart about it.
This type of information and its accessibility to the general public is much higher than anything I've ever seen.
So how can we all be really smart about this? So before you start sharing things as facts, you should really be checking where the study was published and if it's reputable. What's the sample size in the study? Was it big enough to return reliable results? And then, of course, if there are multiple studies that are pointing to the same results as well, Jeremy, all of those are indicators that are good, that you're looking at something that's a legitimate source.
Yeah, you know, science is always changing, and so timing really here is key too.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. You want to look at when this study happened, right? So if it was a study that was focused on 2020, all parts of it may not hold up anymore, right? We didn't have things like the Delta variant at that time or didn't know as much about it. And that has really changed the landscape of COVID. And also just remembering that scientists are researching this as we are living through the pandemic. So they are turning out information as quickly as possible while we are all still very hungry for more information as well.
That's right. Nothing is rigid these days. Thank you, Anusha.